All right, this story is called My Left Han. He was a star athlete in basketball and football. I thought table tennis was a sport. Ladies would buy him shots at the bar. I once worked up the courage to ask the prettiest girl in my class if she wanted to borrow my notes. He had a magnetic personality that would draw in peers by the hundreds, and I had a magnet BitTorrent links, downloading movies by the hundreds of kilobytes per second. And so that second year in law school, when Vinay asked me to be his roommate, I was beside myself. Sure, we had our differences, but it was our similarities that brought us together. Chief amongst them, we wanted to live in the fanciest building in Washington, D.C., but at a cheaper rent than all of our friends. Our sights were set upon the Albin Towers. The building had everything we needed. Inspired by the National Cathedral across the street, stone gargoyles at the entrance, a grand piano greeted you in the lobby, and the roof overlooked all of DC. But the jewel in the crown was a very thin hallway that led to our massive living room, or as we'd come to call it, the third bedroom. Converting the living room into a bedroom allowed us to ghetto the system, a verb created early in our friendship, bringing our individual rents well below $1,000 a month. And so began our revolving door of interesting living room roommates, or the others as we refer to them. There was Quiet Milos, who worked for the State Department. He never spoke a word to us, but we could hear him on the phone from midnight to 2 a.m., speaking a harsh foreign language. He used a pocket knife to cut vegetables and slept covered in a blanket that we'd later realize was the flag of Serbia. This led to a new house rule. If any potential roommates said they worked for the government, we'd now be sure to ask, which one? There were roommates with funny names like Joy Storm, who attempted to teach 2 Indian kids from New Jersey about the body's natural chakras, or as Joy would pronounce, chakras. Others would try to sneak in pets, but the one I will always keep close to my heart is Han. Han was from South Korea and had just emigrated from the United States to become a French chef. We were about to gain a roommate who wanted to cook dinner for us every day, was willing to pay a higher rent than either of us, and agreed to dividing the living room in half, one being his bedroom and the other half being a common space for us to have dinner together. At 4 a.m., I have to wake up and sharpen my knives, was his only caveat. Once Han moved in, we slept right through the knife sharpening and marveled at his unimaginable routine. Han worked in his French restaurant from 4:30 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. Wow. He arrived home at 10 p.m. only to begin cooking the next day's dinner for Vinay and me. While he cooked, we'd drink boxed wine and give Han our not-so-gourmand feedback on how he could improve on our prior meal. Han would fall asleep around 10:30 p.m., the sounds of Vinay and I playing NBA Jam cutting through a thin chiffon Japanese folding wall that separated Han from us. Word spread around the law school. Vinay and Addie have an indentured immigrant who barely speaks English living in a corner of their living room, who cooks for them and for no pay. The optics did not look good. But what scared me the most about this rumor was that all of it was true. Such a thing was not meant to last. A few months into Han's stay, I got the call. He left. What? Han left, bro. I had seen 7 missed calls from Vinay and called him back after finishing a class. What do you mean he left? He leaves every day. He sharpens his knives and he leaves. No, dude, he left. He's gone. There's a note on the floor near your door. I can only read some of it, but I can't pick it up. You need to come here right now, bro. I drove back home and walked up to the building. The gargoyles jeered back at me as I passed through the entrance. Vinay had injured himself playing basketball earlier in the month and was in a cast and on crutches. This is why he couldn't pick up the note from the ground and read it himself. I performed this most remedial of tasks for my athletic role model and read the note aloud. It was in Han's most formal attempt at English. Atidya and Viney, I feel very sorry for you guys. Mom came from Korea and saw me. We packed and leave today. I hope I remember you both. Security deposit is yours. The future is yours. Next time we see each other, I hope to cut you something nice. The future is ours? I asked and handed the letter to Vinay. I think he meant furniture. And that was the last we saw of him. As karma would have it, I graduated in 2010 and arrived into a job market that was unforgiving. At first, I refused to give in, moved into the very same living room, and took on every odd job I could find, somehow convincing myself that holding a clipboard outside the DC Metro was legal advocacy. All my proud attempts to ghetto the system eventually ended in me ghettoing myself. Eventually, I realized it was time to return home. On that last day in DC, I couldn't help but think of Han. He single-mindedly chased a dream, regardless of what it cost, or who might be taking advantage of him along the way. It's a simple lesson. In the end, when going gets tough, get up early, sharpen your knives, and know when it's time to move on.